call compute optimized, but they might be older generation servers versus high performance compute might be the newest generation. So I'm viewing the difference between compute optimized and high performance compute is essentially time, generation. It's not.
Hey, you know what, Ben? I'm going to just one moment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ben. This is Alex. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
My colleague Chavi is going to step in and help answer some of the questions that you have about the different server breakdown. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going through the list of first general purpose machines like kind of a standard web browser and different workloads. Mm-hmm. And then he had some specific questions about the difference between high performance and compute optimized.
Okay. Okay. So the way we came up with this grouping is we looked at the different types of virtual machines that the hyperscalers offer, and we kind of saw these 6 buckets. And in my understanding, difference between memory optimized and high performance is memory optimized, as name implies, has more DRAM. So maybe for in-memory database types of workloads, whereas compute optimized would high performance computing will have more of CPU and powerful processors, maybe even accelerators like ASICs and FPGAs to improve the computation part of the workload. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I was just trying to tell Alex that, you know, the way we looked at it at Google and the way we look at it at Facebook is you have these listed out as like separate SKUs, but they may not actually be separate SKUs in the hardware in the data center. And specifically what I was trying to point out is what you're calling like high performance compute, those might be the newest generation of servers that we just bought. And we would make those available, and you can slice them up into different, you know, CPU RAM ratios. You know, I'm looking at the table here in Azure. You know, they have 16 vCPUs and 224 gig of RAM. You know, so that might be, you know, nearly the entire server, or maybe that's half of the server, and they have 2. You can fit 2 of those classes of virtual machine onto one piece of hardware, in effect, depending how they slice it up, right? So I couldn't possibly support a VM that beefy on one of my older generation boxes. I just don't have the resources available on a box that's 4 years old, right?
Can you repeat what you said? Missed your last sentence. So the volume on this phone is not that good.
Oh, so what I was saying is, what happens is you buy and you operate these machines for 3 to maybe 6 years in your data center, right?
Yeah.
And you need to map those older machines into some of these buckets that you have. So maybe some of the older machines that in their heyday when they were brand new, they might have been considered high performance compute. Well, now 3 years later, they're not. But you can put them in your compute optimized bucket.
Okay.
Or
got it.
maybe they originally had a high ratio of CPU to RAM, and some of them can be even put back into the memory optimized, although a lot of them might end up in the compute optimized. So what would happen is your most critical demand that you're going to be buying is what is that high performance demand, because I can't easily substitute old machines for some of those configurations in the high compute bucket. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So that becomes a forcing function of your purchasing, right? And then I would look at what my demand is for the lower end kinds of